The man never expected that. After finding out his best friend was actually a girl, their relationship would suddenly become ambiguous. This made their classmates extremely jealous. They had no idea how he managed to win over the class beauty, but they never knew that this so-called class beauty was his best buddy 7 years ago. Yet when they met again, everything had changed. In front of others, she acted perfectly, but when she was alone with the male lead, she would take off her disguise. It turned out that although her appearance had changed, her personality had not changed at all. Her hobbies were still the same as a boy's. She loved playing games in her free time because she didn't want her classmates to see her as an outsider. She had always been pretending, but in front of the male lead, she had no need to hide anything. She had finally found someone she could talk to. Hearing that his old friend had suffered so much over the years, the male lead couldn't help but pat her head. Whenever his little sister got patted like this, she would always be happy. But for these two friends, this was basically a rebellion story.
僕は姫ちゃんと違うんだけどね。任されていけないんだ。
あ、もしかして春樹って可愛いのか。
But when he suddenly became shy, Haruki felt uncomfortable instead. I see you as my brother, but you actually want to date me. Of course, she couldn't say that directly. After all, they hadn't seen each other for 7 years. The male lead quickly made up an excuse and got through it. At this moment, Haruki suddenly felt hungry. When she learned that Haruki usually ate these kinds of things, the male lead showed her his lunchbox. It turned out he always cooked for himself. This made Haruki extremely tempted. After all, they were best friends. She couldn't wait and took a bite. Unexpectedly, it actually tasted pretty good. Only then did she realize that she wasn't the only one who had changed. Her best friend had changed too. Coincidentally, a couple happened to walk by the window, so the two of them unknowingly leaned there and secretly watched.
いや、あれだな、あれだったな。
うん、そうだね、あれだね、あれ。
But remembering that they used to do the same thing when they were kids, the two couldn't help but smile at each other. After school they ran into each other at the supermarket, because there were discounted items today. Both of them bought quite a lot, but after all, his friend was now just a weak girl, so the male lead took the initiative and carried some for her. After learning that she usually ate frozen food, and bought a huge pile every time, to last several days, the male lead couldn't help feeling a little sad. He decided that next time, he would show his friend his cooking skills. This also touched Haruki. The male lead's caring personality had never changed. Soon, they arrived at her home, because he still had to cook for his little sister. The male lead put down the groceries and hurried home, but then he remembered, they still didn't have each other's contact information. Haruki wanted to add him, but unexpectedly, the male lead refused. The reason was that he didn't have a phone. But what era was this now? She thought he just didn't want to give it to her, after secretly remembering this grudge. She didn't know that he really didn't have one. It wasn't because he couldn't afford it. It was because the countryside where he lived before had no signal. Even his little sister had already caught up with the times, but he was still wondering whether he should buy one. The next day was rainy, because he forgot to bring an ombre. Lala, his clothes got soaked, but just after he sat down, Haruki suddenly started caring about him. She wanted to use a handkerchief to dry him off, but he didn't want to reveal their relationship in front of everyone, just as he was about to refuse.
ダメですよ、風邪ひいちゃいます。
二階堂。
何、どういうこと？
こいつ完全に確信犯じゃないか。ありがとな。これ洗って返すから。
別にそのまま返してもらっても構いませんよ。
いや、そういうわけにはいかないからな。
そうですか。ならスムーズに返却できるようスマホの連絡先教えてください。
ごめん、俺スマホ持ってなくて。
そうですか。ごめんなさい。いきなり私なんかが無理を言って。
おい、そこまでして二階堂と連絡先交換したくないって。
二階堂さんかわいそう。
But saying he really didn't have a phone, even a dog wouldn't believe it. Everyone thought he was purposely bullying the class beauty, so he was dragged away and lectured. But they didn't know, he had completely fallen into Haruki's trap. She was actually taking revenge for yesterday. That night, while they were playing games at home, he explained everything clearly. After learning that he really didn't have a phone, and was currently wondering which one to buy, Haruki agreed to take him shopping this weekend. After returning home, it was already very late, but unexpectedly, his little sister suddenly wanted ice cream, so the two decided to go to the convenience store. However, even for just a quick trip outside, his sister carefully dressed herself up, because she didn't want people to think she was a country girl. But at that moment, she suddenly saw a beautiful girl. That is right, it was Haruki. When she saw the male lead with another girl, her face immediately darkened, because they hadn't seen each other for 7 years. She didn't recognize the male lead's sister. Instead, she became a little jealous.
可愛らしい子ですね。
え？
彼女さんですか？